Listening to the Law Enforcement Pirate Radio Network. Radio Free Larry presiding.
You can run, but you can't hide.
Radio Free Larry.
All right, here we go again. Buckle up. Rough roads ahead. So we'll go over the first responder, social worker stuff a little bit more and kind of maybe a little clearer. The only way to get forward of the issues we have before they become crisis or a crisis is with that first responder social worker. However, they have to be on self-patrols. Now, you could even create two separate organizations or two separate positions, one where they ride along with an officer, another one where they patrol on their own. And we're not speaking about the social worker model that we have today. Again, they go, well, we just got to get them out of the office. No, this has got to be something a little bit better than that. Again, they're going to have a little more diverse training. It's going to be a street position. They're going to have that street knowledge to effectuate their social work program. And the idea is that they'll know the community and they can identify the social issues before they become an emergency. And again, if they notice people around the panhandlers and the unhoused people, and they appear to be harassing the unhoused people, then the first responder social worker can start writing reports that maybe there's something going on in the community to cause the unhoused people to fail and not be able to move back into certain programs. That's strange. Just somebody's reactions. Kind of bizarre, but it could be just witchcraft. So again, the emergency services model doesn't work. Because they just, an officer is, it's like calling the SWAT team out. If you're telling them to call a social worker from headquarters, it's going to eventually get down to their level of operation and get there. You know, again, San Antonio isn't all that big of a city, but it's been tried and it doesn't work. It always ends up with this thing. Well, they didn't call, and da-da-da. You know, I don't know how many times the boss yelled at them if they didn't get through the thing quick enough. Right. So that's why we mainstream it. That's why we have them, traveling through that community. Every time you see an ambulance, you should, have nearby somewhere a social worker patrolling the community also. I mean, it isn't going to be. It's just like, we don't want to hear Tucker Carlson. Oh, well, you put them out there. And It's going to be better, though. It's going to be easier. And the officer is going to be more likely not to have to call, but then again, would most likely call real quick to bring them in. Again, if you want them to set up a perimeter and call in social workers, then do it. Make sure that that's what everybody does all the time. But what are you going to need to do that? A bunch of social workers in each district. And then they get to know everybody, because the social worker can only do so much. if they don't know the person, the situation, the community. So again, they should be able to eye things and figure things out. And that's what we need. And let's hope we are able to make it happen. So like I was saying earlier, I've done some of this type of work as a civilian on, what works and what's needed. Most likely, if we had first responders, social workers on the street, Makisha would have had housing prior to that moment. Because she sounds like somebody that's not looking to ever mess that up. She just ended up somewhere and couldn't get out of it. I mean, I could be wrong, but again, she's probably a great candidate. And again, everybody is, because the idea is this, that we need to develop that tiered system to understand who each person is. Again, I don't want to de-individualize it, but there should be packages and differing levels of triage for different packages for different types of issues. And then you string it together to make the package for the individual work. Again, the same thing they do like in an emergency room, or when they they print this out, print that out, but then call this doctor, call that doctor, that kind of thing. A 9 to 5 isn't going to work. Somebody that sits in an office and goes out on the street isn't going to work. They have to be like patrol officers. Their social workers is the street. Their office is the street. And what happens is, I brought this up before, I knew a state police medic who used to ride in those helicopters. And he would have meetings with the triage team in the emergency room, every so like once a month or whatever it was. So again, we're also going to have that. We're going to have the first responder social worker working with the actual social work teams or social work people in hospitals and things like that. So again, they're on the street, the eyes and ears on the street, and they can bring information to the social work community, and then vice versa. The social work community can say, who patrols that area? Okay, I have a guy down there, and he needs some help from you. So again, see how that works, because now they have somebody on the street 24/7. And none of the BS, like Larry's the most dangerous man in Kansas City. I mean, they do this every city I go to. They're all full of shit. They're all effectuating a contract, a murder contract, a disabling contract, a fabricated, trumped-up case contract. I mean, it's disgusting. That's why we're in the condition we're in this nation. It's not bail reform. Mm-hmm. So again, we let our social workers know that there's people out on the street, or the vice versa. So again, the guy or gal on the street speaks to the social work teams about people they identify. Vice versa, the people that are already doing clinical social work, that type of thing, or have what they call a client list, whatever it is. They call the first responder social worker unit and let them know that they're going to might need some assistance. So if we have a situation where there could be a need for a 911 service, and the social worker and psychologist identify there could be a crisis, like real. Let's not do what you're all doing now. Let's get back to reality. Instead of saying that person because you hate that person and you want to put them on the list. The reality is we can handle that situation with our patrol social workers so that they know that's existing and what's going to happen. There'll probably be some interaction. Hi, I'm so-and-so. Miss so-and-so called me. I just want to introduce myself, and if you need anything, I'm here. Just give us the call, and we'll be here. You know, and you tell family, call us before it gets anywhere. Don't wait. You know, you don't want to interfere. Again, you have to strike that balance that you're not looking to make their home, you know, an extension of a state hospital or anything like that. You want them to feel, though, that they have some recourse outside of calling a police department and waiting till they need to call the police department. Again, the idea is they're going to wait to call the police department because they don't want them involved. But if they know there's a social worker out there patrolling, yeah, they'll probably call before it's a crisis. And then also you get these situations where the mother or the father or the brother or the aunt are the issue. And they make these calls and they go, well, you know, I have a lot of people out here on the street that I know about, and your son, your brother, your uncle, your nephew is not that person that you perceive, because that can actually make it worse. So again, we have a very ignorant social work system. A lot of money, a lot of effort, but it's just ignorant. It's a 9 to 5 generally. They come in the emergency room and then, 9 a.m. they come into work, grab the coffee, and they go see the patient after the crisis, right? So that's what we're missing. It wasn't seen until recent years, and we're slow moving it forward because a lot of police officers don't want another set of eyes on the street that could get them in trouble. So again, for police officers, you'd have plenty of time to pull back from that psychological manipulation of the community or whatever else manipulation. No, it's not time tested. It's bullshit. And it causes all the problem. You all rally around it like, wow, look, this is the best technology we've ever had. Why? Because you're devils. And devils will always back satanic things. So the social work is necessary to make sure we don't get to that phone call where a police officer has to enter in and maybe pull their pistol out and neutralize somebody. Or do it out of turn. Again, the fact is those officers had a barrier theoretically between them. But we don't know traditionally where the instruction is. Again, you can speak about SOPs and what's supposed to happen, but that isn't always the case. What's supposed to happen isn't always the case of what actually has been happening. But when it gets to the point where somebody gets shot, then you're like, okay, they're not supposed to be doing that. Well, that's the wrong time to be checking up on all of this. Again, it's another check and balance in the system. And then, the social worker, finds out where they're shooting up the drugs or smoking the meth or whatever it is. And, that person does not have to arrest you when that person sees it. So we have somebody from the city that can interact. And again, the no harm program is where we need to be because of where we are. Right. So we should be, beginning to structure housing programs, things such as that. There's some other stuff there that's kind of blocked because people don't want it to happen. But again, there should be some residence locations that are no harm. Instead of saying, okay, come into this kind of drug den, I guess, again, I'm not poking fun at it. It's just, again, that's what it is. So again, we need to be real. We need to be realistic about what's happening. But what we should create is social worker managed residences till we can get them to the next level. Again, remember, there's a tiered system. And those residences are no harm. People are addicted there. Because the worst thing you can do is throw them on the street. That was the model before. Well, you're using drugs out of the housing, go on the street. Yeah, that really makes it easier for all of us. See, it doesn't make it easier, but it's like cops are like, yeah, put them on the street. This works great for us. No, it doesn't. We want them in a no-harm housing place somewhere. And what happens is when we have the narcotic use centralized, again, we don't want a situation where we're dealing with a housing situation. So again, it has to be manageable, not housing. What did they call that? The projects. We don't want the projects. So we need to make it manageable, intelligent, and well. And again, the psychology of accepting them so they don't run off, so we can keep them there and talk them through it. So again, if we don't engage, we're never going to get them to the next, or I mean, probably 1 in a million you could, but not everyone. So when we engage the no harm program and the people using narcotics in a residential setting, open, we're not restricting them. They don't have to go inpatient. And again, that might be the next tier where they say, hey, I'm going inpatient, I'm going to detox, and I'm going to get somewhere. So you see, we have to develop it around our given circumstances, around what's actually happening. I mean, drug dens are everywhere. So again, the government running a drug den might be the only answer to get them to the next level of treatment. And of course, we, minimize the risks of using narcotics, kind of putting them in a semi-safe place until we can get something else for them or get them to go somewhere else. Again, people are going to use narcotics until they don't, and people won't use narcotics until they do. That means this. It's all metaphysical. All of it. So when it's healed, they'll stop. When they're cursed, they'll start. And each person has a certain level of protection against that. It may look psychological, it may look physical, but it's metaphysical. Spiritual. But it does manifest in the physical and in the psychological. So again, narcotics use is a demon. And once that demon is healed, and it doesn't mean the person possessed themselves or did anything to be there, but once it's healed, then they'll heal. And the programs will work. Now, programs can have a capability to metaphysically heal something, even though it's a physical program. Because there's metaphysical... Jesus. People and their dogs. He goes with his dog on a scooter. Kid's autistic or something. he has an I think it's the kid that has the gas-powered bicycle. It's like they disassemble it. You can drive it for 1 day and then you got to take it apart and fix it. I have no idea what it is, but he definitely has some sort of thing going on. This dog got excited because they were going to take off on the electric scooter or something. He was going to run next to the electric scooter. So there's no use in getting angry at the addicted person because they're only, again, Ezekiel 34. They were pushed with flank and shoulder, I guess is what it is, isn't it? Right. So again, they're being scattered. They're being pushed away. They are what Ezekiel 34 is speaking about. That's the manifestation of the evil shepherds of Israel. But again, the shepherds of Israel shepherds of Israel are who they are. It's kind of strange. I think these people left and may have been put out. It's just strange how it happened because she's always been annoying. But we're all sitting over there, and the one was it when the woman was talking about the pentagram? It was something, and just her response was, "Well," and she pulled out a knife, and I'm like, "You got the issues you have, and you're drinking all the time, and you have a knife." No, I didn't tell anybody about that, and I don't think she was put out because of the knife. But I wasn't the only one that saw it. So there's a concern where somebody flicks a knife open and talks about sticking somebody. So I have no idea what may have put them out or if they left on their own. But I did see somebody had complained, or not complained. They said, "Look, don't hang your laundry on the railing." And the other day, the woman was, walking through, looking at things, and she saw the clothing on the railing. She took it and put it on their door handle, and they may have just told them to go because you can only say so, you can only tell them so many times. And they're like drying clothes out on the railing. I don't know why they don't do it in their shower, on the shower rod or something, or shower curtain rod. Maybe they had other ones over there. I don't know. So they were put out. But it was weird because it was kind of, I don't want to say it was shocking, but it's like, nah, let's not go there. Right. Especially around alcohol. And she was saying what would happen if somebody did that to her or something. And it was a pretty sizable knife. She would do life in prison if she she stabbed somebody even a couple times with that, most likely. It wasn't. It was a folding knife, but it was sizable. She did the flick with it. You had the thumb thing, I guess, on it. But it was like, the front end of a Bowie knife, where it was like a sickle, actually. It was a substantial sickle. And disembowel somebody with it. So again, I'm like, if you don't change, if she's real about it, and she has a temper, so. Right. So to get back to the social worker, that's what's missing. You're not going to do it with anything else. And that social worker has to patrol each district, each precinct, and it has to be improved. If one doesn't work, then you get two. If two doesn't work, then you get three. And of course, you need more than one in each district. I mean, the social work budget is huge in every city. So you probably have the funding already to create those positions. It's just a matter of moving it there and coming up with curriculum and licensing and certification and all of that. Oh, that's so pleasant. I swear the train got louder. Satan, the weather also does that. Different weather carries that sound differently. There's one loud train. So that was interesting, the non-conforming sexuality thing that was in the. Um, Again, that's considered Torah, even though it's not the Torah. It's just all the Jewish stuff. I told you Christians that, Christians like, oh, the holy Jewish people. I said, you don't love Jews. You don't like Jews. They're actually touching that base. Oh, praise be the Jews in Israel. I said, you hate Jewish people. Judaism is not what you think it is, all of you. Had some construction workers move in. They seem like a happy bunch. Hopefully it stays that way. Very nice weather tonight. It's going to start warming up, though. I noticed I know Chicago has nice weather. Boy, you got some nice weather out there. But it's expensive. I wouldn't live in Chicago itself. I'd be outside somewhere, but it's kind of expensive. But it's possible. I think I could do it. It's just everything looks like a inner city tenement building, even the suburb, that I could afford. But your weather looks great up there for the summertime. I know it gets hot sometimes, but it's like in the 80s in the foreseeable future. And then at night, like in the upper 60s. That's nice. And a little bit of 70s in there. The people that have rooms here live here. You never see them. And I brought this up before. Kind of like off tonight. Actually, today. I don't know, I got worn down. I guess pushing myself real hard, walking and all that. I guess I walked 2 hours. God had reminded me, walk 2 hours this morning, Well, I should be able to walk 2 in the morning, 2 at night, and about a half hour, an hour in the middle of the day. But I'll get there, I guess. So I was glad to see the shoes on that guy. I was like, when they're on him, I know he received them and they're working well, and he had his shoes on. And he usually has like slippers on, so I'm glad that all worked out. So woke up early in the morning, drove down the Roland Park to get my walking shoes and bought the wrong size. And then I wore them for an hour until I said, wait, these won't work. Even after I realized the wrong size, I was like, they're not, they'll work. And it didn't work. I'm like, I can't wear these. And then I was like, I don't want to give them to Goodwill because then people have to pay for them. I don't care that it costs $30, but I want them to go somewhere where they're going to work. So I kind of lamented for a few hours and finally went out walking around. And I saw this guy that I know. I was like, are you a size 13? He said, yeah, exactly. See, this is the biblical moment. Like a woman at the well or something like that. Or Nicodemus and all. So I'm like, okay, God wants you to have a pair of shoes. I bought these and they don't fit. I can't return them because I wore them for about an hour. So now he has shoes. He's had a pretty rough life. Again, he knows he put himself out there. He realized that happened in his life. But again, it's metaphysical though. He didn't put himself out there. Somebody cursed him. But he had somebody stab him in his head and all this stuff. It's like my jaw opened automatically. And it's like some gangsters and gang members in Kansas City, were attacking him or something. And I guess he finally got to some program and got out here. But he's got shoes. I'm happy for that. And I couldn't get to the storage unit to get my shoes that I had there. I had bought one more box of new shoes that I usually wear until Until I gave him the shoes, and then I went right over there, opened like one, or I think it was the second box I opened or something. There they were. I'm like, yeah, right, they were right at the front. So it's Sunday. Tomorrow's Monday, the big Monday. I got some things I got to check out. Can't just assume that my paycheck's going to go in next month. I'm going to call them today and make sure things, or tomorrow, and make sure things go the right direction. Well, stay peaceful. Praise God in all that you do.